Fiber-wise now, right? Also, if you put a few scoops of the Fiber-wise in your dog food, it works wonders as well. Anybody that has any constipated dogs? No?
You can tell with the ground.
Just kidding. It was a joke. It's not meant for dogs, I don't think. So without further ado, guys, take out your pen, your paper, your notes. Get ready for one of the best trainers in all of Melaleuca. We're so honored to have him here. So again, without further ado, National Director 6, Phil Cresenzo. Let's give him a round of applause.
I like this. This guy times it so he hits National Director 7 just before I get here. Way to go, Jason. I got to go back to work and catch him. Great job, man. All right, well, got to meet some of you folks during the break, and a lot of you said some very kind things, and I thank you for that. And I also enjoyed hearing the stories from our executive directors, which gave me an opportunity to finish my cappuccino, which Anthony was so kind to buy for me. Thanks, Anthony. And but one of the things that impressed me most was talking to Eric Goldstein, and he showed me 2 pages of notes that he had taken from my presentation. I didn't know it was that good, but I said, he said, you know why I did this? He says, I want the phrases. Why? You know why? Because Melaleuca is no more or no less than what they think it is after you do whatever it is that you do. What an awesome responsibility we have representing a $1.2 billion company that's quietly growing by 50, 60 million every year. What an awesome responsibility we have to make sure that they understand the opportunity. And that's what this presentation is. Even those of you who already know, if you haven't seen this presentation I'm about to do, you're going to get an even bigger picture. Okay, so here we go. It's entitled, I call it, What You Get for $29. And I want to show you how Melaleuca is invested in your future. Founded in 1985, North America's first and only consumer direct marketing company. You want to see Frank Vandersloot and the management team cringe? Say, I came from this, I'm part of this industry. No, that industry. We are not that industry. How many of you folks are familiar with the $10,000 challenge from Melaleuca? Okay, about less than a dozen of you. All right, for those of you and some people that you talk to that think we're just another glorified version of Amway or just another MLM coming down the pike, Melaleuca has an ongoing $10,000 reward for anyone that can find a successful multi-level marketing company in the last 30 years. It's right on the front page of our Leadership in Action magazine. Look in the archive issues. It says, earn $10,000. Step right up. Oops, not that easy. Right on the cover. You can find it. You just scroll through the archives. The criteria is this. The company has to have reached $250 million in annual sales and grown for any number of consecutive years domestically. You'll get a check for $10,000. It doesn't exist. Don't waste your time. If it existed, Kopetsky would have found it.
Absolutely.
He would have found it. He's our Melaleuca watchdog. Doesn't exist. What happens with these companies, they make the big rise, and then they make the big fall, and then they go into unsuspecting countries that do not know. It's a broken business model. Never works, will never work. And they do this and that, and then they keep on doing this and that. And they just combine all that revenue together. They say, you know, we're a successful company. They're not. Now, Amway's been on the decline for decades domestically. And you say, well, how does Frank Vandersloot know that? Well, not as only has he been a member of the United States Chamber of Commerce, but he's also on the board of directors of the DSA, the Direct Selling Association, which overlooks the sales of all companies in direct sales. That's what he found. That's how he presented that challenge to us. So, we're America's first and only consumer direct marketing company. Works good on the approach. If you're talking about Melaleuca, what's Melaleuca? Well, we actually do consumer direct marketing. Have you heard it? Not if they're enrolled in Melaleuca, they have. If they haven't, that's a good way to ward off the Q&A. We develop, manufacture, and market natural health and wellness products operating in 18 countries. Over 1 million customers shop monthly worldwide. We employ over 3,000 people worldwide, 2,200 in America alone. No layoffs in 30 years. How many companies can say that? We compete for market share with companies like Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, Unilever, Colgate-Palmolive. We think they're good companies. We just want their customers. We are the champion of the little guy. Paid over $4 billion in commissions and bonuses. Growth in 29 of 30 years. Again, unheard of. There it is, $1.2 billion. Not bad for a bunch of little guys. This is on the cover of our Leadership in Action. If you could see these numbers, they're in $50 million increments. As you look at this growth chart, do you think there are going to be some amazing success stories written for decades to come? And some of you might be thinking, 1.2 billion, oh my goodness, I missed the boat. Did you catch those companies on the previous page? Let me back it up. Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, Unilever, Colgate, Palmolive. Do you have any idea what kind of volume these companies are doing? Try over 400 billion. So for you mathematicians, we have less than 0.5% market share. 450 products backed by science. Now we've added the essential oils to that. Products and process is patented. 40 PhDs and top scientists on staff, partnered with top research facilities like the University of Utah, University of Wisconsin, University of Iowa, University of Alberta. That's where Dr. Wong comes from, in case you didn't know that. We are the largest manufacturer of products, consumer products in the Northwest, largest manufacturer of cosmetics in the Northwest. We are in the top 50 e-commerce businesses in North America. Why are we having such explosive growth? We are capitalizing on 4 major trends. Number 1, the Green Initiative. Is that a temporary thing? Is it going to be with us for a while? It's with us forever. Aging baby boomers, I happen to be in that group. Most powerful buying group ever known to man. We have something to offer them. Then we have e-commerce, one of the fastest growing trends in the world. Last but not least, we have an economy where people are looking to supplement, in many cases replace their income. That's why we're experiencing that explosive growth. Largest provider of home-based business opportunity in the United States, all the way in the back. We surpassed Mary Kay domestically. That's a big one. Amway, we surpassed them domestically. Worldwide, they're still doing somewhere between 3 and 4 billion from those unsuspecting countries that don't know that it doesn't work. Herbalife, Jason, we blew right by them. New Skin, Dale, them too, Shackley. MelaleucaAwards.com.
New Skin went back about 1.5 billion in the last 2 years.
Ouch. Jason just informed me that New Skin went backwards about 1.5 billion in the last 2 years. Wow, thank you. As far as our CEO, 30 years. How many companies do you know that have had the same CEO for 30 years? Entrepreneur of the Year by Ernst & Young, CNN USA Today, Idaho State University. A proven management team. Look at this. Our average tenure in North America is like 4 to 5 years. Melaleuca's 7, 8, 9 on the average. But look at some of these guys. Noel Jenkins, 26 years. Todd Sorensen, 23. Tom Knutson, 23. Johnny Morrison, our regional, 23. McKay Christensen, over 20 years. And we get these people, not spin-offs from MLMs, gurus. We get them from Procter & Gamble, UPS, Gillette, Purina, major Fortune 500 companies. Look at that, guys. $65 million headquarters. You talked about it, Eric. You get flown there, you and your spouse, when you reach senior director. With $200 million in manufacturing, distribution, computers, and phone systems. 371,000 square feet, a 17,000 square foot events facility. That's like 3 football fields long. There isn't another facility like this in all of North America. And debt-free. It's paid for. How cool is that? That's what you get for 29 bucks. And for those of you this month, that's what you get for $1. All right, so how do we get it? All right, crank up the next one, Maestro. Any questions about anything you saw before we get into some nuts and bolts? Anything about what you just saw there? I'm giving that presentation to Jason. Okay, so in case you want to see it again, you'll have it. All right, I created that from some of the stuff from Melaleuca. So let me know when the approach is in. You're up? I shut it off. You up? All right, you're good.
Yeah, Phil, that was a great start.
All right, now we're going to get into some real serious nuts and bolts. How are we going to make it happen? We're going to talk about approaches and setting appointments. We're going to discuss the who, the what, the why, the when, and the where. Anything left, Bill? All right, who do we talk to? Everyone you have ever known. Eventually. There are people on my contact list that I haven't called yet in over 20 years. Why? I'm just not ready to. That's how I do my contact list. I put everybody that I've ever known, I call them when I'm ready. That's how I do it. I scan through the list, I say, dun, 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 dun. I got to give that rascal a call. And I don't know why, but I put some thought into that. I call them, and it usually works. But I have to have the feeling to do it. Don't ask me why that's the way I do it.
I love that.
Yeah, I call when you feel like, because it'll translate in your approach. I promise you. Commit your list to paper. Some people say, I got a bunch of contacts in my cell phone. You got to see them. That's what invokes that thought process to call them. Your cell phone, if you don't see them, you're not going to call them. Put it in front of you. If I have something that's called target enrollments. If I put you in the crosshairs, you're going down. You're either going to tell me, please, I couldn't be less interested, don't ever call me again, or you're going to sit with me. And we teach our people to be persistent on the appointment. If someone sits down with me and says, let me think about it, I even had people say, let me pray about it. Great, pray about it. But you know what's amazing about Melaleuca? In sales, what is dreaded is called the be-back. You know what be-backs are? If you're in car sales, furniture sales, timeshare, any kind of sales, I'll be back. How many be-backs come back? Almost none. In Melaleuca, they will. If you do a good enough presentation, you do such a good presentation, they never stop thinking about it. The be-backs will come back. Might be the next day, might be the next week, but they can. You should do such a compelling presentation, they can't stop thinking about it. They will be back. I promise you. All right, so I enroll someone and I say, okay, Gene, if you were to put a contact list together, Gene says, I said, how many people would be on it? Gene said, oh, I don't know, 18, 20, 22 maybe. Really? If you put a wedding list together, how many people would be on that? Well, somewhere between 100 and 200. What happened to the rest? You made the decision for them. Biggest mistake you can ever make in Melaleuca. Don't edit or make the decision for them. Great stories that come to mind. Greg Lagana. I don't know if he made it out. He didn't make it out of high school, did he? He doesn't mind saying it. If you scratched him off of your contact list because he couldn't make it through, you think Jason had some learning disabilities? Greg Lagana, really severe ones. But if you scratched him off your contact list, you only gave up about $7 million. How about Ed Vestoso? By his own admission, he was number 187 in a graduating class of 188. Would you be tempted to scratch him off your contact list? I bet you would. Even in our case, and I'll talk about that later. So cut your teeth on low-hanging fruit. There's some people you can't hardly mess up on. You know, like my mother-in-law and father-in-law. Like you just ask them if they love you. The kids just tell them they owe you. That's all. So yeah, you owe me. Yeah, sit down. Why? Because you owe me. You're gonna be my customer. We have 4 kids. They're all enrolled. Those with whom you do business, people who you meet. I love what Will Rogers says. A stranger is just a friend I haven't met yet. And that's the way you should go about with the business. My kids taught me, don't worry about them saying no to you. Worry about them saying yes to somebody else. Now, Dale and Natalie, come on guys, real quick. They're moving pretty quickly now. And in the last couple of months, they just decided to go out and walk and talk. Give a hand out. And these guys are just, give it up for Dale and Natalie Denny. Dale, I just want you to share some of the, you and Natalie, some of the things that happened to you just by being out and about.
Well, I was doing a training, and you got to understand, if you believe in Melaleuca, you believe in the products, that we have the best products, the best company, the best compensation plan, then why aren't you talking to everybody that moves? So I was doing a training at one of our personal enrollment's house, ordered pizza for the training. So the pizza delivery guy comes driving up in a brand new BMW. So I jokingly said, "Is that your mom's or dad's?" He said, "No, it's mine. I worked 3 jobs to pay for it." I said, "Really?" The next day we sat down, and that was on July 13th. July 19th, we did our first presentation. From July 19th to the last day of July, he enrolled 10 personal customers, and went to, he advanced in the company. This month he's advancing straight to Director 3. And he has like 42 people now in his company. Now, if I didn't open my mouth, I would have had him. Another great one, we had a day in Vineland. I'm going to let her talk about it because it's actually her personal enrollment that's exploding the company. We were doing 6 meetings in Vineland, and it was pouring rain. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't know it was supposed to rain. I left the umbrellas home. The first presentation was in a library. We came out, and I'm looking, and it's torrential downpour. We had to walk all the way across campus to get to our cars, so we're both saturated. Well, we were in between meetings, and we couldn't go home, and I said, "Let's go to get something to eat." So I let my wife off at the front, go park the car. I come in. There's this family in the foyer, and I'm going to let her tell the rest of the story.
So while he was parking the car, I met this couple that their 2 children with them, and I just started to chit-chat with them. First thing was about the fact that I looked like a drowned rat. I had my hair all wet, and I was just chatting with them. And then here to learn that they had been struggling financially. And so I simply asked them, I work from home, I work with a wellness company, it's a .com, would you be interested in hearing about it? And they were so all smiles and just gave me their number. And within the next day, they called. Not only did they call, they brought their mother-in-law to the first appointment, and they all enrolled. So they are really going to advance this month. I'm excited for them. I have another in-home scheduled, so it's been awesome.
The funny thing about that story is that the second she exchanged her phone number, they were in the restaurant foyer waiting for their friend for 25 minutes. The second they exchanged numbers, she got a text from her friend, and she realized she was standing in the wrong restaurant.
What was she?
Not coincidence. So see, you gotta reach out. Like, we've made a commitment now. Think about what this company can do, how it can bring moms home, and where they can be home with their kids. We have a person in our company. He missed his first steps of his child because he had to work at a job. So what we've made a commitment now, when we're shopping, we're looking for moms that have the little babies in their cart, and we go up to a minimum of 3, and just talk to them and say, we're with a company that actually specializes in helping moms be able to work from home, yet make the income they need to pay the bills. We would love to sit down with you and show you what our company has to offer. What do you have to lose if you talk to somebody you don't know? If they say no to you, did you know them? I mean, really. And so, but if they say yes to you, think about what could happen. You work together as a team.
All right. Thanks so much, guys. Good job, guys. So, Natalie has a couple of masters in psychology, and I said, Natalie, your approach should be pretty easy. You got to be nuts if you don't enroll in this program, right? That's one of her lines. All right. You guys didn't get that? Master's degrees? No, okay. Okay. First of it was, who do we talk to? Second is, what? What do we say? The right thing to the right person at the right time. In the Bible it says a word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in pictures of silver. You'll know when you say the right thing to the right person at the right time. So I like to start with a sincere compliment. And I would say to Paul, Paul, you're just have such an amazing way with people. I would love to sit down and talk to you about what I do. And that's a sincere compliment, because if you know him, you would say that. Talk about them, their background, and engage in conversation. So people say, what's your favorite approach? The one that works. I'm going to explain the different categories that they're in. Include benefit statements. Here's an acid test for your approach to see if it's any good. If they can add a so what to it, trash it. It ain't working. How does that sound? I call Joan and I say, Joan, my wife and I are expanding our business up in the great Northeast, and we're hoping that we can get to the next level in our company. Actually, the company we represent, we're growing like crazy. We're like Inc. 500 Hall of Fame, Better Business Bureau, amazing product line, a great 7th-generation payout. My wife and I have a couple of cars that the company's paid for, and we're really, we're hoping that we can expand our business in your area. And she's saying, so what? Why? I didn't include her in our goals. Now, if I start out with the sincere compliment, Joan, I've known you and Phil for quite a while, and I've always admired the way you conduct your lives, your children. I think you're amazing parents and brilliant business people. Our company is expanding rapidly in the Northeast. I'd love to sit down with you guys and give you a heads up on what the company's doing. Heads up. They're thinking, oh, Bill's going to give us the inside track on where his company is going. That two little words, heads up. I'd love to sit down with you and give you a heads up on where this company is going. You know why? Because it's something we could possibly do together. If not, maybe you can refer me to somebody and point you in the right direction. I included then, you see, that's all you do. Benefit statements. Company's expanding, could be a plan B. If you're a realtor, I might say, great way to expand your referral base, great way to bridge your gap between your closings, great way to meet people, network with professionals. These are what we call benefit statements. You got to get them in there as quickly as you can. Statements about your goals, but your goals have to relate. We're looking to expand our business, but I need to partner up with somebody in the area to help them to establish their level of success so that we can reach ours. It's just the way it works. I'll explain it when we sit down. Hot button statements, travel, kids, golf. For me, Ed Sanford said to me, hey man, this is an opportunity for you to be in business for yourself. I said, Ed, you see the 30-foot neon sign? That's my name. Designs by Cresenzo, that's me. I'm already in business. He said, but yeah, but here's a way for you to meet people. I says, I already know people. I have my in-laws, my outlaws, my golfing buddies, my friends from church. I'm good there too. Here's a chance for you to make some money. I'm already making money. He wasn't getting my attention. He goes, man, I'll tell you what. He said, if you allow me to coach you, you build this thing and you build it right, you can play golf anytime you want. I said, what I gotta do? That was it. That was it. That was the hot button. That if I did this right, I could play golf anytime I want. Guess what? 1 year later, we're into the executive director ranks, way beyond 6 figures. Tee it up anytime I want. For any of you folks who are golfers, my lowest score now for 18 holes is 65. Well, you didn't hear me say that because I ain't one to brag. All right. This is really, really important. Choice close for the appointment. Don't say, Jason, would you be interested in sitting down with me? You might get a yes or no. Jason, I'm telling you, man, you and I could really kick some butt with this thing. What works better for you, like lunch or maybe after work? And he said, well, you know what? Lunch is pretty good. I get an hour. Good. What works better, Monday or Wednesday? Well, Monday's kind of busted up, but Wednesday looks pretty good. Good. Let's meet at the, whatever, Tokyo Mandarin down the street from your office. Choice close. Don't ask for a yes or no. All right? So just what do we say? Why do we approach to set appointments? Rule of thumb, don't explain Melaleuca to get the appointment. Get the appointment to explain Melaleuca. It's the highest yield activity. If you were to say, what do I have to master in this business? It's the art of setting appointments. Because let me just do a quick, Gene, you sit down with 10 people. How many are going to enroll? 8, 9. John?
Same, 8 out of 10.
8 or 9, 8, 9, 10. Kopetsky? Guys right across the board. 7, 8, 9 out of 10. So what's the highest yield activity? Get in front of them. Why is it difficult for some people to approach? They've not developed a skill. You know it's a skill. You know, and I'm going to tell you how people blow it out of the gate and how you can rectify that. They lack the confidence. Help them with that. Early success versus early failure makes all the difference in the world. Because if you go out and say the wrong things to the right people or the right things to the wrong people, you're going to come back to me with your tail between your legs and say, I don't know if I can handle this rejection type thing, and I don't know if this is for me. Because I kind of got you airborne, and you're like, well, I'm flying, and you're going to crash. It's not going to happen. So you got to make sure you avoid that. Fear of failure or rejection, fear of imposing. How many people you say, well, yeah, it sounds good, but I don't want to get ahead at the expense of my friends. My brother Davey told me that. I don't want to get ahead at the expense of my friends. I said, what are you talking about? So when you sit down with someone who's brand new, like within the last month or 2 or 3, all right, do you realize that with the moment you opened your account, you're paying the same price as I am for the products? So if I'd helped you to open your account, am I making money off of you? No. Now, for the Mary Kay lady in the back, if I'm buying stuff at wholesale and I'm selling it to you at retail, am I making money off of you? Yes. That's how you're making money off your friends. You're buying at wholesale, selling them at retail, you're making money off your friends. But in Melaleuca, the moment you open your account, and we've been shopping for over 20 years, you pay the same price we do. However, as I said earlier, we are the advertising budget. We're not going to spend $250 million for a 30-second ad on the Super Bowl. We're not going to do it. We'll spend it on you. All right. Lack of belief in what they're doing. What is it that you're doing? We're going to talk about your belief level. So why do we continue to approach? You never know when you will meet your life-changing business partner. You want to know what it takes to make 6 figures in Melaleuca? 9 people with 10 customers and 1 really, really good one. That's 6 figures. In our organization, every single executive director, let me go across the front. When you guys hit executive director, how many personal directors did you have? 10. Judith?
12.
12. Jason?
10 or 12.
10. Kupetsky?
19.
I'm not talking about personal directors, when you hit exec, how many did you have?
No, I don't know, 12. 11 or 12.
11 or 12. Okay. So 12 people with 8 or more customers, 6 figures. That's a pretty simple formula, isn't it? So you never know. You never know which one is going to be the game changer for you. When do we approach? Simple answer, whenever you want your business to grow. 100% of your ability to advance will come from your personal enrollments. Jason introduced me to some amazing people. The first thing I asked him, Jason, are they your personals? He said, no. But still, they're part of the organization. You're going to grow. But your ability to advance comes from your personals. When we're in the right mindset, that's when you approach, because it will translate into your verbiage. All right. Whenever the opportunity presents itself, do you know what those 2 words together, perceptual set, a unique 2-word combination? Let me explain it to you. After I explain it, you'll know what it is. So, Judith, was there ever a certain dress or certain purse or maybe even a certain car that you had to have? Yeah, but that doesn't count because you buy shoes every month. All right, well, just say a really ridiculously expensive pair of shoes. You had to have it. You're not going to rest until you get them. But after you bought them, you look around and say, oh, man, I can't believe she's wearing my shoes. Oh, whoa, she's got them too. These are shoes you didn't really take notice of until you owned them. Or a car.
Yeah.
Like I've got my brand new CLS found. Jason's driving one. I don't know. But you just happen to see these things because you have a different perception. It's now brought into your life. The same thing, I promise you, applies in Melaleuca. If you're in the right mindset, every single person around you is a prospect. You heard Dale and Natalie. Every single person. They're going to each have 2 or 3 personal directors this month. They're engaged in the process. If your perception is wrong, people will walk by you all day long that could have been leaders in your organization. You missed the boat. They missed. Everybody lost because you're just not in the right mindset. When we do business, people I do business with, I had an electrician come to my house. One of my lights, and we built a new home. One of the lights, lantern wasn't working. And he came, showed up, and I got talking about his business. I said, so how's your electrical contracting going? He said, pretty good. I said, are you Making what you need to make with it? He goes, honestly, no. He said, well, what are your goals in the business? He said, well, I used to work at the paper plant, International Papers down in South Carolina where we are. He said, my goal with my electrical contracting business is to be able to make what I used to make as an in-house electrician. I said, how's that going? He said, not quite there. And I said to him, I said, Tom, are you open to looking at other ways of generating extra income? He goes, well, what do you got going on? And I said, well, it's a $1 billion international wellness company expanding down here in the low country. I'd like to give you a heads up on what they're doing. I think you and I can do something with it. He goes, really? What do you have? And we'll talk about that when we get together. Incredible product line, but we'll talk about it when we get together. Sat down, made the appointment with him. He enrolled 10 people his first month and reached Director 2 the very first month. I just talked to him. All of my approaches are conversational. I don't pick up, I don't have any scripts. I don't say, let's see, John, if I could show you a way that you could, would you? No. He's going to say, Phil, it's me. Be up to, man. Be yourself. I promise you, yourself is good enough. When we receive good service, again, compliment them. Hey, thanks, John, Tom, you did a great job on my electrical job. Love to sit down with you and show you what my wife and I do and what we're planning to do in this area. When we see an opportunity to change someone's life, and again, the mindset in Melaleuca is not who can I get, but who can I help. That changes the whole dynamics. Where do we find these people? You heard Natalie and Dale, everywhere. Everywhere. The climate has never been better. You heard me ask John and Paul sitting in the front row, you think there are a lot of people that used to make six figures that don't anymore. They're out there in droves and they're waiting to hear from you. They don't know it. They're waiting to hear from you. Go to networking groups. Oh, I hated networking groups. You know why? To me, it was just a bunch of talking heads. Nobody's listening to anybody. You know, there's just like, you know, you're talking to them, they're going like this. And you're trying to have a conversation with them going, yeah. And you're trying to talk to these people. I call it the dialogue of the deaf. I'm telling you, nobody's hearing anybody. I couldn't stand those networking groups. So I moved down to South Carolina. I said, Crip, I don't know anybody. I was talking to Christian. I call him Crip. I said, Crip, I don't know anybody down here. He said, Dad, join a networking group. I said, I hate them. He said, I can't believe you're saying that. He said, you're a nice guy. My little kid's telling me this. He said, then you're a good listener. He said, you know, you like people. And pretty good communicator. Just get out there. He said, let me give you a tip. Don't talk about your Melaleuca business. That's what he said. Don't talk about your Melaleuca business. Go out there and see how many people you can help. Yvette Zona belongs to a BNI. Tough group to crack into. She enrolled 35 out of the 37 people there. I said, how the heck did you do that, Yvette? She goes, here's what I do. I sit down with them and I say, well, Jason, how long would it take for you to explain to me what you do? That's what she says. How much time do we need together so that I can understand what you do in your business so I can know how to intelligently refer you? Jason says, maybe 20 minutes I can explain it to you. Great, let's do that. So I sit down with Jason for 20 minutes and he explains to me, so Jason, tell me what's a good referral for you and tell me what's a great referral for you. Well, I'm a developer, so a good referral for me would be, you know, like someone who wants to build a new home or maybe a couple. An awesome referral for me is, you know, someone who wants to sell a nice tract of land that I can develop. See, I am genuinely trying to figure out how I can help Jason, and I don't think any more of it. The true spirit of giving is when you give something and expect nothing in return. And that's the way Christian goes out and does his navigating through these networking groups. People can't wait to give him referrals. Happened to be down in South Carolina. Just went out there to see who I can help, whose business I can enhance, who can I bless, and it comes full circle. Join a church, get out and about, go shopping, join a gym. I just did that. Man, I'll tell you what, I don't like that. I actually joined a CrossFit gym. I'm 64 years old, I joined a CrossFit gym. And I told these guys, I said, listen, I've never joined a gym, I don't like gyms. I said, I'm in pretty good shape, all I want to do is just like, tone up a little, keep my flexibility so I can keep my golf at a competitive level. We got you, man. We got perfect workout for you. Anybody here own a CrossFit? Anybody here own a CrossFit gym before I finish this story? You're not going to believe what these morons had me doing. Olympic style lifting, like this. Like this. Second time I'm there. My wife said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I just want to go from good to great." She said, "You're an idiot. You're going to hurt yourself." Sure enough, second or third session, I said, "Oh, my groin is burning." Yeah, you injured yourself. I have full-blown hernia thanks to CrossFit. Anyway, and I didn't even enroll anybody for that. It really ticks me off. But usually it's not a bad idea because people are there to improve the quality of their health. Get out there and converse. Talk to people. Believe me, they will tell you all day long. Okay, how do we become an appointment setting expert? Build and maintain a bulletproof belief level in number one, the company. Is the company are they going to follow through, Paul?
Oh, absolutely.
Have they under-promised and over-produced since they opened their doors?
Always.
Always. The product's going to be there for us? Absolutely. Do they meet your expectations? Are they better than anything you can find out there? I say yes. Your business, have they ever sent you a check late or short, Jason? Not us either. Well, that only leaves one thing, you. So you got to constantly work on that. Develop a strong posture. Ed Vestoso said it best, when you know that you know. Don't you think that translates with people that you're speaking with? No one is above Melaleuca. Now, what do I mean by that? Some people think, well, you know, I'm not into laundry detergent, I'm not into soaps, I'm not into this, not into that. If you're talking to a wealthy person, talk about $1 billion that we did last year. If they think they're above the $1 billion, talk about the internet. If they think they're above that, talk about the next $1 trillion industry. You know what it is? Health and wellness. You know why? Aging baby boomers. Okay? So whatever they at, talk one bigger. That's easy to do in Melaleuca. So really, when you think about it, no one's above it. Learn to preempt objections. How do you do that? Kupetsky's the master. I heard him in action. If I think I'm going to call Bill, and I know he's a busy guy, say, Bill, we got to get together. Why, Phil? What's up? I found a business that's perfectly designed for busy people like you and me. What's he going to say? I'm too busy? You can. If I know that Judith is a really nice person, but she doesn't consider herself a salesperson, I'll say, Judith, my wife and I started a business. We got to get with you. I think it would be awesome for you. And guess what? It doesn't even require sales. What's she going to say? I'm not a salesperson? I took that away from her. You see? So that's what I mean by preempting objections. Like the 35-point objection. Keep on talking about all the products you use every month. I find myself using hundreds of product points every month. If Melaleuca makes it, that's where I buy it. These are how you preempt the objection before it even comes up. Maintain your enthusiasm. There's a formula. I don't know if you heard of it. 55-37-8. Anybody heard of it? Yes. 55% is your enthusiasm. 37% is your voice. That only leaves 8% for what you're saying. Now, how does that translate? I pick up the phone. I'm new. Okay? We call it ignorance on fire, zeal without knowledge, whatever. But I'm excited about what I found. And I call Paul and I say, Paul, has anybody talked to you about a company called Melaleuca? Is it Mello? What? Oh, awesome, great. Nobody has? Paul, we need to get together. I want to be the first to tell you about it. What is it? It's a $1 billion international wellness company. It's expanding in the Northeast. You're the first guy I thought of. That sounded like I was pretty excited. He hangs up the phone. His wife said, what was that all about? He said, I don't know. It's Phil. He's calling me about some company that's expanding up here. Well, what is it? I don't know. But what are you I'm going to meet with him. He sounded pretty excited about what he was doing. I did that 20 times starting out. I set 16 appointments. I enrolled, let's see, no, 25 calls, 20 appointments, enrolled 16.
Nice.
4 months later, after being a customer for 2 months, senior directors. Got a check for $5,000, and then guess what happened? I got real smart. By then, a total of 6 months, you could imagine what the kid learned. I knew all of Frank Vandersloot's kids' names. I could even tell you the names of the Aborigines who used the oil before us. I could tell you the ingredients of the products. I could tell you all the intricacies of our compensation plan. If I got you on the phone, you were dead meat. I was fire hosing you. I'm telling you, I get on the phone and I was just going a mile a minute, and you're like this. I'm gonna go to the kitchen, get myself a coffee. You come back, yeah, he's still going. Oh yeah. Literally, I call it fire hosing. I was blasting you with everything that I had learned over the last 6 months, and guess what? Couldn't get an appointment. It's called a dummy curve. What happened? I started out dumb as mud. I called Paul, and I'm excited. Paul, did anybody talk to you about coming in? Mello, what? Great, man. I'm glad nobody talked. We need to get together as quick as possible. But then when I got smart, started fire hosing people, could not. I'm a senior director driving a brand new car with a $5,000 check, couldn't get an appointment. So I said to my wife, I said, this is ridiculous. I said, I can't even get an appointment. She goes, well, what are you doing? I said, just telling people what I know. She goes, what did you do before? I said, I didn't know anything. She goes, good, go back to that. That's the dummy curve. You start out dumb as mud, you get real smart. That doesn't work. You end up spilling all the beans. Get back to dumb. Jason, there's $1 billion company expanding in your area. We need to get together. I got to give you a heads up on what they're doing. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. At least you get a free lunch from me. Went back to dumb, enrolled 16 more people, 5 more directors, 10 months total from the time we started our business with 42 products. We're executive directors, $130,000 our first full year. And you say, well, that's not a lot. In the 90s it was. Okay? Remember the dummy curve. Stay in touch with your why. We're going to talk about a little bit more about that a little later. Okay. So, Jason, this is it's kind of a sad story. My brand new CLS, I'm driving down 526 down South Carolina, and a stone flicks up on my windshield, puts a spider crack. But you know what? If you live in South Carolina, you get a free windshield. So I went to get it fixed. And it was worth all the aggravation I went to get that windshield. It's a $2,000 windshield. It was worth all the aggravation I went to, because I went in there and I read this quote on the wall. And it said, if you really want to do something, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. Red Wood. I said, who the heck is Red Wood? He says, oh, he's just a beloved firefighter in our area. Everybody loves him. And he made that quote. Isn't that cool?
That's a great
Think about that. Red Wood. All right, I think that's it for this one. All right, any questions about what I went through? Awesome. I'm moving fast because I don't want you guys to stay here a minute longer than you. Yes?
If you have a lot of friends scattered all over the United States, maybe.
It's called webinars. They work like a jet. If you have friends that are scattered all over the United States, don't ask them, do you want to see a webinar? Some people don't even know what a webinar is. We need to schedule a time. I want to do an online overview of a company that's blowing up in our area. That's what our kids say, blowing up. And that's a good thing, right? My younger kids will tell me blowing up. All right, so if you don't like blowing up, say expanding. I'd like to schedule an online overview. There's a company that's rapidly growing down here. I just want to know if anyone has talked to you about it in Minnesota. Okay? Online overview, don't call it a webinar. Yes?
What do you say for in-homes?
In-homes. That's a good one. Okay. It's called creating the proper expectation. We had somebody I was doing an in-home for, and I got there, and there were like 30 cars. I said, oh my God, whoa, this is awesome. So I immediately went up to her and said, what did you say to these people? She said, I told them I wanted to see my new baby. And then we're going to gather them together, and we're going to do a Melaleuca presentation. And no, we're not. No. They'll come and see the baby, and all these friends sitting in the room to say, oh, now I'd like to introduce you to Phil Cresenzo. He's going to do a presentation on Melaleuca. They're saying, who's this clown? I don't know anything about him. And I'm supposed to be Philip the evangelist, and I'm going to convert this whole multitude? I don't think so. I said, we're going to reschedule. So the lesson learned from that is create the proper expectation. Listen, I'd like to invite you to our home. We're going to get together with a small group of friends. Don't say we're inviting a bunch of people over, hope you can make it. What are they going to say? Well, hey, if I don't show up, you're not going to know a bunch of people are there. You're not going to miss me, little old me. No, Jason, I'm inviting a select group. I used to like what ACN. I'm inviting you to a private business reception. That's the only thing they did right. But you know what? Yeah. The Bible says in all labor there is profit. Sometimes you learn what to do, what not to do, what to look for, what not to look for. That's a good thing to steal. I'd like to invite you to a private business reception. You've got a small group, sharp individuals, and I consider you to be one of them. I want to show you what's going on. I want to show you a business that's expanding in our area, and I'd like you to take a look. Guarantee you won't waste your time, Jason. At least eat some of Jan's awesome cooking. That's how. Just create the proper expectation. You'll convert and enroll most of them. All right. We set? All right. Okay, now. All right. This is a new quote for you. Make a distinction between being interested and being committed. When you're interested in doing something, you do it only when it's convenient. When you're committed, you follow through no matter what, no excuses. Can anybody pronounce that name? Looks like Krasuski.
Yeah, resistance.
It's not. Krzyzewski is the way you pronounce it. Yeah. Pardon?
Like the bridge.
Yeah. Krzyzewski. He was the head coach for, I think, North Carolina won national championship. Drew. Duke. Good enough. Close enough. All right. So now we're going to talk about approaches and setting appointments almost on a spiritual level, because it'll make a lot of sense to a lot of you folks in this room. I know, because I already talked to some of you. So in the Bible, a lot of lessons were told in a story form. You ever hear that expression? Facts, tell, stories, sell. Guess what? I'll see you folks years later convention day. I never forget when you came to New York and you talked about this, and that, because you're going to remember. You remember some of my dumb jokes, and you're going to remember some of the stories, because those are the things that stay with you. But you learn how to apply them to Luca. Well, that's a lot of way it was done in the Bible. So the story of the sower is just a simple story about a man with a bag full of seeds, and he's walking down the countryside, and he's just kind of strewing the seeds on both sides of the path. Got that? Pretty simple, right? All right, so the first thing we know about the story is that he had excellent seed. So, what is our seed? Smell, look at. That's the parallel. We're spreading that message. We're sowing that seed. That's our products. That's our life-changing opportunity. Number two, we know the sower was ambitious because he went out every day. He's walking down the path and just flinging the seeds, some there over there, some over there. Okay, that we know by reading that story. It's called a parable. Number three, we know that he didn't prejudge the soil. He wasn't walking down the path and said, no, I'm not going to talk to that guy. Yeah, that one looks pretty good. No, that soil looks good. No, that one's got thorns. No, the birds are going to get that one. No, he just kept on. So what does that tell us? You keep on sharing. Like Dale and Natalie doing, every opportunity they get, they're sharing with someone. So that's, you don't say, well, I don't think they're going to get it. I don't think they're going to like it. I don't think they're going to go for it. That's not your job. Your job is to continue to approach. So let's see what happened with the seed. Some fell by the wayside. The birds plucked them before they even got a chance to even penetrate the ground at all. Let's make a parallel with Melaleuca. How many of you folks said, hey, you got to see one of the Cresenzos coming up from Jersey, from South Carolina, going to do some training, going to just teach everything he knows, whatever. You got to be here. You got to hear this guy. How many of you folks invited somebody to come today? Oh, man, that was a lot of hands. Good thing they didn't come. They wouldn't be able to fit. Well, what happened to them? They talk to someone and say, oh, you're going to go for that Melaleuca thing? Come on, serious? That ain't not going to work. I know somebody who used to sell Melaleuca, and it didn't work for them either. All right, they talked to someone, and someone talked them out of it. Well, here's the conclusion. The birds will get some. The naysayers will pluck some of your seed. So you have two options. You continue to sow, stay in the field, or chase the birds. What sounds like a more logical choice? All right? Stay in the field. All right. So here's the important lesson. The sower kept on sowing. He didn't go out the next day and say, oh, shucks, man, the birds got some of my seed. Nope. Just kept on doing his thing. Well, the next group fell on shallow soil. Here's the consolation. The soil is not of your making. You didn't create the soil. You didn't create that person. You're not responsible for their response. You're responsible for taking the action. Okay? You still have excellent seed. You still know that you have a life-changing opportunity to present to them. And you're still an ambitious sower. You're not going to throw in the towel because some got talked out. So what happened with the second group of seeds? It started to sprout, but you know what? It was a little bit shallow. Hot weather kind of scorched the seed before it got a chance to take root. Let's give you a parallel. They started their Melaleuca business. They thought it was going to be the vehicle that was going to change their life. They met with disappointment, maybe from a friend or a family member. Well, did that stop the sower from sowing? Because the birds got, or some of the shallow ground did not take root? How did he keep going? He had to discipline his disappointments. And that's what we do in Melaleuca. When that big hitter that was going to change the game for you threw in the towel, okay, you have to discipline those disciplines. Don't let your highs be too high. Don't let your lows be too low. Now, next one, some fell on soil mixed with thorns. You still had excellent seed. You're still an ambitious sower. What are the thorns? The story parallels thorns with the cares of this world, the deceitfulness of riches. In Melaleuca, it's letting little things cheat you out of big opportunities. Here's the good news. The sower keeps on sowing, approaching, inviting, sharing. The stories are getting better and better because some of the seed is starting to grow. What happens? The seed eventually falls on good ground, fertile ground, and it always will. Hiram Smith, remember him I love that guy. Here's his quote. Oh, wait a minute, I'll give it to you later. My story concludes that the seed multiplying some 30, some 60, and some 100-fold. You see the folks in the front row or anywhere close to the front row? That's what happens when you put Melaleuca in the right hands of the right people, 30, 60, and 100-fold. Why is that? Well, that's just the way it is. So don't wear yourself out trying to get the 30s to do 60. I had a guy who said, I tried to squeeze my customers into business builders, and all I did was get strong forearms. That's called wanting it more for them than they wanted for themselves. He says, I'm going to make them successful if it kills me, and it did. He stopped building his business. He's still one of my customers. Let the 30s do the 30. Again, that's not up to you to do that. How do you get the hundreds? How do you get to the hundreds that will do the 100? You have to pay your dues. You have to keep sowing. The question is it worth it? Thank you for allowing these executive directors to share their stories for the brief amount of time that they had. Across the front row, would you say it's worth it? Would you do it again?
Over and over.
Okay, over and over again. I say life at or anywhere near the top. It's as good as it gets. All we're asked to do is give it our best. And you know what, Judith? Irma Bombeck. You see those quotes that we're scrolling through? She said, this is the way I believe. All we're asked to do is give it our best. She says, when she stands before God in the end and has to give an account of the talents that she's been given, she wants to be able to say, I gave it all. You know, we say no gas left in the tank. That's the way the Cresenzo say it. But you want to just know that you gave it your all. And here's what I mean by that. Again, being one of those parents that's there for all the events, our youngest daughter went out for the swim team. And at the end of the meet, they're asking for volunteers to swim the long race. I think it's 1,500 meters, like back and forth across the pool, back and forth, back and forth. And our baby Rachel, she's swimming. I'm the goofy parent. Oh, come on, Rach. Come on. Dad, come on, Rach. You can do it. Go, Rach. Anybody have an access point? Anyway, we finished the race, and she finishes like third from the last, like out of 10 or 12 swimmers. She climbs out of the pool. She goes, oh, Dad, I did terrible. I said, what do you mean, Rachel? I said, I saw you in the pool. I said, weren't you sweating as hard as you could? She goes, yeah. She goes, but I finished third from last. I said, did you give it your best? And she said, yeah. I was trying my best. I said, you won! She said, what do you mean? I said, the clock's got nothing to do with it. You won. I said, if you continue to give your best at every time opportunity you get, when it's all said and done, you will have won. And that's pretty much what that quote says. She's gone on to earn several master's degrees. She's just an amazing kid, and she's always given her best. And that's really all we're asked to do, is give it our best. So here's Hiram Smith's quote. There's no chance, no destiny, no fate that can circumvent, hinder, or control the firm resolve of a determined soul. I love that. Isn't that cool? And I love when you folks are taking pictures of the screen. I mean, at least some of the stuff I'm saying is making sense. All right, let's, which one? What's the last one? Okay, we're going to skip that third one. Let's go to the tune-up tips. All right, any questions about what I just went over? All right, you guys are good.
Awesome.
All right, next I'm going to share with you an article that I wrote for the Leadership in Action a while ago. So no matter where you are in your business, this is going to help you. I actually broke it down into different slides. I'm going to read it to you. Some I had to hone it down a little bit, but you'll get it. It's called 10 Tune-Up Tips. Now that will really change your business. So here we go. You ready? All right. 10 tune-up tips for your business. All right, so you heard Jason talk about that the Cresenzo's just blazing a trail and all that. Well, that's great. But that's what we did before. We really have a lot more to do. And my brother Dave will tell you when he comes, if you don't have a plan for the future, you'll keep replaying the past. I don't want to replay the past as though my work is done, but I want to share it with you so you know what changed between the years to have us make that historic comeback that we did. So the story is that we went out to convention with a raggedy little team of 8 people. 8 people. And there was a straggler in there too, I think 9. And and Jason knows and all these guys in the front row that I've known for a long time, they know that when I go to convention, I like to have fun because it's like a homecoming for me. And I like to listen to the inspirational stories, like the workshops and stuff. But for me, it's like a big reunion, and I really, really enjoy it. But when we went that particular year, which was 2008, I said, look, we're not going to have fun. We're going to break up. And you're never going to see 2 of us at the same workshop. Because we want to spread out, decide which ones we're going to go to. At the end, we're going to get together and talk about what we learned from those workshops. So we did. And then after sharing all the information that we learned, this is what we did. We revisited our why. So a why in Melaleuca, you don't hear that in corporate America when you go to get hired. Phil, they don't say, so Phil, what is your why? What do you mean, what's my why? Your why becomes your reason for building your Melaleuca business because you expect that it will do something for you that either your career, your job, or your business hasn't done thus far. That becomes your why. But you have to stay in touch with it, and you have to revisit it because your why can be a moving target. We might talk about that a little bit later. After we revisited our why and got clear on our direction, our purpose, or our reason for doing Melaleuca, we wrote down our goals. Okay, so we're at this status, but we want to be this status. Second thing we did, and this is very important, think about it. If you're writing, write it down. We wrote down the obstacles that could prevent us from reaching our goals. You know what my 2 sons said to me? They said, Dad, we want to do this, but no more stops and starts. Ouch. That's what my 2 sons said to me. No more stops and starts, Dad. Because Dad would get so far, and then it'd disappear, and just travel and golf and just have a blast. Oh, there's Moby Dick. He's back. Made the big splash. No more stops and starts, Dad. All right. Okay. Okay, kids, I promise. You commit? No more stops and starts for me. We wrote down a plan to achieve our goals, and we had the audacity to hand them to McKay Christensen and said, this is what we're going to do. Now, would you look like a bunch of bozos the next year? We come to the convention and didn't do any of it? No, we followed through and we did. But the most